Hi, my name's Tiffany Lima, and today I'll be discussing gut health within diabetics and how improving gut health helps with insulin regulation. So, insulin. Insulin is a hormone produced in the pancreas. It's an essential that helps with moving glucose into the cell of the human body. See, the process is simple. The body produces insulin through nutrients that are consumed. But as we all know, the human body can be more complex when it comes to the insulin process. And that's why many individuals today have a disease known as diabetes, where their insulin levels are not regulated whatsoever. See, what an individual consumes is a major aspect of how the body would react in terms of glucose. Before I jump into this presentation, though, I do want to discuss what is gut health and what is insulin regulation. So, gut health is known as the gastrointestinal tract. It is a foundation of an individual's well-being. It's where gut health overall occurs. And the way to have good gut health is by having a balance of good and bad bacteria in the digestive system. Insulin regulation, as I mentioned earlier, insulin is an essential. It allows glucose to enter the cell so that it can be transformed into energy, and it helps regulate the amount of glucose found in the bloodstream. Insulin regulation is a balance of food intake and metabolic needs. The relationship between gut hormone and insulin and glucose regulation is the leading cause of diabetes. And to ensure insulin and glucose regulation, gut health improvement needs to occur within diabetics. See, diabetes being one of the leading diseases in the world has brought me to curiosity of why diabetics may be wrestling with regulating their glucose and insulin levels. The constant battle that diabetics face is maintaining balanced levels of insulin. See, 75% of diabetics struggle with their gut health, and their nutrients and amino acids that they consume positively or negatively affect their health. And those nutrients and amino acids come from food. See, food is an essential aspect of maintaining stable levels. And in order to break down glucose within the body, the pancreas releases digestive enzymes first. So how does gut health relate to diabetes? See, consuming a high diet of carbs or in fats can lead to an increase of bacteria that can be toxic to the body. So if a person constantly eats like burgers, chicken wings, fries, anything so unhealthy with high fats or carbs can lead to unhealthy gut health, which leads to diabetes. And by preventing that, individuals should look more to salads and plant-based stuff. Nutraceutical foods helps with the physiological metabolism and its cellular functions that ensure the hardship the body is undergoing when insulin levels are not acting accordingly. So a study that I found, it was done with plant-based food in a diet, and it calculated if there is an increase or decrease in other diseases in the levels in individuals with diabetics. I found this study on the National Library of Medicine, and I found it interesting how plant-based stuff really helps with regulating insulin levels. See, by focusing on type 2 diabetics in the study, they were able to see how a change in diet can help regulate gut health and regulate any further diseases. The results of the study were that plant-based diets were more effective than normal care towards diabetics. So 2 things to note. Consuming nutritional food is so beneficial to a person with diabetes. See, what a diabetic consumes affects their gut health, and by them not consuming food that will help with their gut health can lead to unstable levels of insulin, and we don't want that. For diabetics, we want to make sure that they consume nutritional foods that will not only help regulate their insulin levels but also their gut health as well, because they are injecting the insulin that they need, and that can affect overall their gut health. So we want to make sure that they eat nutritional foods that help with both gut health and insulin regulation. In the study that I mentioned earlier too, and how it talked about plant-based food, I feel like would help diabetics as well, because it is something nutritional and it can help with stabilizing their levels of insulin. And that brings me to my second point about regulating insulin levels. And the food patterns can help with regulating insulin levels. And by patterns, I mean like food patterns. It is important to know what an individual consumes, especially if one is diabetic. It is so important to know what they eat and to see how their gut health changes, whether it's for the better or for the worse. An individual has to catch those patterns, and by noticing those patterns of what helps or not helps their gut health, also helps you notice a change in your glucose and insulin levels. So by regulating insulin levels, you have to also pay attention to the patterns within that. And to conclude, I wanted to bring back to the point that I made at the beginning on how to ensure balanced insulin and glucose regulation, gut health improvement needs to occur in diabetics, whether that be plant-based food, a change in diet, or just paying attention to food patterns and not consuming overall unhealthy foods with high carbs and fats, but more focusing on the patterns of what helps one have a balanced insulin regulation along with gut health, because gut health and insulin regulation correlates so much within a diabetic patient. So this concludes my presentation of how improving gut health helps with insulin regulation. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any questions, make sure to leave comments. But yeah, thank you.